How are you?
I'm great. I'm home. I
Good.
was away for a while, but I'm back now.
Yeah, what were you doing?
I was out on the road doing a run with Jenny Lewis. We had
Nice.
we had our last run of the tour, which was really fun.
Is that the end of touring with Jenny then for this year?
For the foreseeable future, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, she's working on some other stuff next year, so we're pausing where we are.
Cool. And how's
Yeah.
that been?
The most incredible experience.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah, yeah, it's my first time traveling with an all-female band,
Yeah.
and it's so magic. It's just like unlike anything I've experienced before.
I can only imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
is any tour manager or merch or crew people, is it all female on the back end as well?
Oh, my cat just jumped up.
Hello.
This is
Hello.
this is Lito.
Lido.
Lito, yeah.
Lido. What's up? Yeah.
He's only
Just
6 months, but he's huge.
oh my yeah, massive. That's
He might
amazing.
he might do that again. So the crew is 12 of us and
Okay.
7 are women. So
Okay.
majority women, but it's a good balance.
That's great though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always I've traveled with a lot of female artists,
Mhm.
and yeah, so often it's just like the tables are turned and
Yes.
it's so cool to be in an environment that's flipped. I can only imagine how
Yeah.
good it feels.
Yeah, it's special for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um well, I want to hear more about anything that you got that's on your mind, but I mean, we're really here to talk about what's up with Jess, right?
Sup with Jess.
Stuff with
Yes.
Jess. It's such a brilliant campaign idea. I
Thank
mean,
you.
you definitely, I can tell you put some thought and some effort into it. It's very, I don't know, it grabbed me right away as soon as I saw it. So well done there. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've been working with this company, Art House Consulting, and they have really helped me strategize in a way that feels fun for social media, which has been really nice. I launched a Kickstarter for my first record, which was back in 2018, and I just felt like I had no idea what I was doing.
Mhm.
And this time, I've been planning for this campaign for 2 months, and so I've had the content made, and I feel like it's just felt the rollout has felt a lot easier, and it feels fun to share what we're working on.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
It is kind of daunting, I think, for any artist because there's more possibilities than ever in terms of just doing it
yeah,
yourself and getting out there. But then it's
totally.
also you jump into the other wearing the other hats and you realize, oh, that's why people do hire a marketing person or
Yeah,
a manager, a business manager, because it's a lot of work to pull off what you're doing.
yeah. Being in the middle of it, I'm well aware of how much work it takes. It's a lot of outreach and really like using social media in a way that's a lot less precious, where you're not afraid to share what you're doing every single day and just get in front of people's faces again. Um, I've had to like quiet this voice in my head that feels like I'm being annoying or like people don't want to hear about it because I don't think that's true. I believe in the project. People want to hear about it, and just continuing to spread the word and do outreach and being confident about that has been a full journey for the last 20 days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that about any sort of creative person? It's like you are excited enough to jump in and give yourself to a thing. But
Yeah.
then when it comes time to tell people, all these voices and everything pop in, and everyone that
Yeah.
I know is subject to that. There's some version of that
Yeah.
that they deal with.
Yeah.
It's so curious.
It really is. It really is. I think we all go through it. I think that helps me when I'm going through this process of outreaching and letting people know about this. Of we all experience that voice, but the other end of the spectrum is like the joy and the beauty of sharing art. And I want to hear about what my friends are doing. Um, so I try to keep that in mind as I continue to reach out to people.
Yeah, yeah, that's so That's so true. I love being a champion of whatever my friends are doing, but somehow
Totally.
when I flip it around, you get all self-conscious, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about this recently, and one of the things that has kind of judoed it for me too is, um, I think about how many advertisements or pieces of marketing or
Mm.
something that someone's sharing with me that I ignore on a given day, um, with no attachments, like negative attachments. I'm not like annoyed or
Yeah. You
bothered
just take
or
it
like,
in.
yeah. So flip yourself around. Like you have all those self-conscious voices, and fear that pops up. But some people are going to attach to it. Some people it's just going to be like, whatever. And they're just going to pass it. And
Yeah.
they're not going to think any less of you for you telling
A
them
thousand
what
percent.
you're excited about. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Totally.
I love that you're going all in on this.
Thank you.
Um,
I appreciate that.
tell if any I mean if you go to the Kickstarter
Mhm.
and you're following, you get the story, but can you explain this record making process
Yeah.
and what sets it apart?
Yeah. So I started writing the songs for this probably 2 years ago now. Went through a lot of personal change. There was a lot of death in my life, both physical and emotional, just like a lot of purging, a lot of letting go. And my last record that I put out last year, which was called 93, that record was a lot about rebirth. So it almost felt like this record needed to be the answer to the last record. There was a lot of softness and beauty in the last one. And this one, the songs were just feeling a lot more raw and a lot darker in a way. And so the more I was thinking about how I wanted to make the record, I felt like I needed to have an all female team at the producer engineer level. I've never done that before. And, we don't have a lot of female producer and engineers in the field right now that are getting recognized. And so it felt perfect to do in tandem with the themes of the record. So I called my friend Meg McCormick, who actually brought me into the Jenny Lewis gig. She's been a part of Jenny's crew for a long time, and she recommended me, and I was able to come into the circle. And Meg and I have been working together for the last few years, and she self-produced her last record, and it's incredible. And so her and I teamed up and co-produced these songs. We ended up deciding to do it in my house, and we called my friend Kate Haldrup, who came in, brought all of her engineering gear, and me, Meg, and two other musicians posted up for 5 days and recorded 10 songs. And it's essentially just been living in a vault in my Google Drive all summer. And I just so believe in what we made, and I'm at the point where I need help to fund it. And so that's where we are. The Kickstarter idea came to me, and I was like, I've done this before. Let's do it again. And there's a ton of cool stuff as part of the Kickstarter incentives, like obviously the record and amazing merch that I made with my friend Josie. And then there's also there's sunflower seeds that I grew in my garden that are part of it. There are pressed rose petals that were on this piano while we were recording here. Um, Concerts, a meatball dinner made by yours truly. Like we just got real creative with it. And yeah, we're moving into the final week of the campaign to get these women paid.
I love that so much. That's another thing that we have in common apart from Nolan is we've got some
Mhm.
Italian heritage in both of us. So I definitely
Nice.
appreciate the bringing some Italian hospitality to to the Kickstarter supporters.
Yeah, and actually one of the songs on the record is like about being on the Sicilian coast. I've never been there, but I have dreams of visiting where my ancestors lived. And yeah, one of the songs on the record, Roses, is about the lineage and just imagining myself over there and sort of thanking my ancestors.
Oh
So
my
our
gosh.
ancestors.
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, I'm
Yeah.
mainland, and
Okay. Yeah.
when my no are around, I sense that there's some some tension between Sicilians and mainlanders. I'm It's all good right here,
Yeah.
I
Same.
sense
Same.
that out. But I love that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I can just talk about that for a second because
Let's do it. Yeah.
I didn't. I think it was on my first European tour I did. My
Mm.
dad was born in Italy, and he
Oh,
came over
wow.
when he was like 4 or 5 years old, and he has never been back.
Oh,
Well, I
wow.
take that back. Him and my mom are actually going. It's their 50th anniversary, and they're flying tomorrow to go
Oh,
to.
wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, I'm so excited for him. It's weird. It's like I
Yeah.
think I feel like maybe they felt towards their children at different times when they're excited that they're doing something. I'm finding myself like giddy, like, oh, mom and dad are gonna go on a trip. It's so funny. Um,
That's
but the
awesome.
but the first time I went to Rome, I had a few days off at the end of it, and my dad
Mhm.
actually set up with some extended family like a little trip to like see the house that he was born
Oh,
in and like the
wow.
neighborhood. And I had heard stories and seen pictures, but I didn't realize like in my body how that would feel to know like, hey, you're connected to this place.
Yeah.
Um, and there's histories here and like a
Yeah.
lineage that, you're aware of to some part, but I don't know, like to feel a connection like that
Yeah.
to a place is really special.
So
I
special.
hope you get to experience that because gosh, I
Yeah.
can only imagine.
Yeah, so I
Um,
did go to Rome
okay.
last year, which was amazing, and was sort of the impetus for wanting to go to Sicily was I was in a shop in Rome, and a woman just started speaking to me in Italian, and she assumed I was Sicilian, and that was the moment I knew I was like, I gotta go there. I need to like get in touch. I'm on day 175 of Duolingo, so ciao.
That's great. That's great. That's a great endorsement if
Yeah,
they just pick up from your energy, from like your look, from your vibe, like you're one of us, That's
yeah.
great. That's
Yeah, it
great.
is great. But it is nice to be reminded that we're connected to these like very distant worlds, not so dissimilar from each other. It's a grounding feeling to know that.
Yeah. I wonder, okay, if that we're gonna go deep here because it's something that
Let's
I've
do
thought
it.
of, but I've thought a lot about how the way that like whiteness strips
Hmm.
even European immigrants of their histories in that sense. Like
Yes.
I don't, I'm only one generation removed from my dad, but I don't
Hmm.
think of myself
Yeah.
with this Italian heritage,
Yeah.
um, and it's from like all these arguably like good reasons, like my grandpa came over to create a better life,
Yeah.
and to succeed you have to adapt to the popular culture and figure it out,
Hmm.
and he did that, so he won, but there was also this loss in it
Yeah.
that I'm only now coming to recognize, you know.
So real. Yeah. I mean, my great grandparents did not teach my grandpa Italian because
Yeah.
when they brought him over here, they were like, "No, we're not gonna learn. We're not gonna teach him that. He needs to know English to blend in." And even my Irish ancestors, our last name was O'Nolan, and they dropped the
Mm,
O to just assimilate when they came through Ellis Island. So I think that's a
yeah,
common thread in a lot of families to just assimilate to being American and white and
for sure.
um, yeah, it's sad. I feel grateful to have the perspective of knowing how important saving these stories are, and like, and it is, and yeah, I talking with my great grandma and my grandma have it. Both of those people have helped me so much in the writing of these songs as well, like keeping the story alive and preserving family history and culture.
I love that.
Yeah,
Tell me more about where these songs came from.
yeah.
How long of a period had you started writing this collection of songs?
Yes, I would say I probably started writing them 2 years ago now, and then about a year and a half ago I started living on my own, and so I was living alone, working on these songs in the house, um, and a lot of them just came through the experience of grieving, and through my experience of grieving, I learned a lot about joy, which I was not expecting, and I feel like we hear that a lot now that like the capacity for grief is then met with the same capacity for joy. Um, my grandma passed 10 years ago, and then my other grandma passed this past December. And
Hmm.
Meg McCormick, who co-produced it with me, her grandma also passed that same week that my grandma passed last week. And so there was all this synergy happening around like the matriarchal figures in our lives passing, and sort of like feeling like we were receiving the torch to sort of like bring forth these stories. Um, Another process for writing this was diving back into like songs I wrote when I was 11 through 18. I kept a binder of all the lyrics that I worked on as a little girl. And at the beginning of this year, I opened to this one page and these lyrics just struck me. I didn't remember writing them at all, but I felt so connected to them. And so, one of the songs on the record, I took all of those lyrics and I just made a new song to the same lyrics. And it was a beautiful process of just like sort of embracing my younger self and the beauty of her creativity, free of being perceived, because I was just writing songs in my room. um, so yeah, I feel like the songs are really an exploration into the death and the loss, but also like the beauty of reconnecting with past self or past lives or past ancestors. um, and just like so much growth has happened in the face of making this project, and I'm so excited to share it. It feels like it feels like a big exhale. And it also feels like it was a dream because we did it in 5 days. So like I listen back, I'm like, oh, that happened. I like kind of forget it. It's the quickest I've ever made something.
That's a great feeling though, to be surprised by the thing that you made, you know? It's like
Yeah,
you're able to step outside yourself and just be a fan of your own work, which is really great.
totally. Totally. I mean, this is my favorite thing I've ever made for sure.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Feels exciting.
Good. Yeah, because your first record was so beautiful, I have to say. I
Thank you.
loved that record. So that it sounds like that was a slower process or a longer
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, I would say that that process was much longer. I mean, we did that over the course of almost 30 sessions over the course of half a year. Um, so it was much slower, much more meticulous. We were doing a lot of overdubbing, a lot of really delicate choices being made. Um, and that was sort of the approach with the writing too, so it felt right. And that's like the flip side is now I wrote a lot of these songs very quickly, like one sitting, they were done. um, I would sit down, start an idea, and it would be done 3 hours later. And basically, that's what we put on the record. And also, the making of it was very gut instinct. Like the vocals are all one take. I would just do a few takes and we would pick one and we'd be like, all right, that's what we're doing. A lot of it was built like live in my living room. We would just go down together, sometimes no click being used. And sort of making peace halfway through the day and being like, okay, we need to move on to the next song now. So we're gonna say goodbye to this. And I think that death is sort of like that too. Like you don't really get to choose. It's bestowed upon you how it happens. And we tried to reflect that in the recording experience too.
That's amazing.
Thank
And
you.
it requires a lot of trust
Yeah.
in yourself and also in the songs and what they're going to be.
Yeah, totally. Hmm.
Wow. It's a restraint that often isn't employed in record making for sure,
Yeah.
and certainly in Nashville sometimes, um,
Yeah.
with the way that you can just fine tune things until they're dead.
I mean, you can beat it forever. Like
Yep.
it's just
Yep.
never ending. And I've done that process, and that's a beautiful process too. I mean, I think there's
Mhm.
something cool about being really granular and meticulous about something, but I wanted to put the pressure on a little bit and put myself in a different environment and go, well, you sing all these songs live all the time, and the live show always feels great. It's like the trust I've cultivated with the women that I made the record with. It's like I knew I could go there and just be present and like receive myself in the present moment of like, well, that's what I sound like today. And I'm gonna put that on record and let everyone hear.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's huge to be able to surround yourself with people that you feel safe
that's it.
to go there.
It's the community, right? It's like
Yeah.
they're my family, so I felt safe. And I'm the youngest in the group too, so I think there's been something really beautiful. I'm an older sister, so I've always thought of myself as like big sister energy, and I still have that. But it's been nice both in this record making process and in touring with Jenny to be the youngest and to sort of take that role of what can I learn here? Like these are my older sisters. Like what am I getting from just watching how they move in the room and how they approach things? And I feel like I've learned a lot by being little sis this time.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
Um, I'd like to ask you more about get more into like the grief part, and I'll tee it up by
Sure.
just saying that like I've been aware of your work and who you are for a while, like since I was still living in Nashville,
Mm.
and I remember like through 2020 and on for all the pitfalls and challenges with social media, it was seeing you and your
Mm.
honesty and how you presented yourself and talk about your life and things that's going on. Um, it was it was clear to me that you were embodying a movement that was happening, around the world, like in the culture,
Mm.
and something that I felt too, and experienced in my own way. So it was really encouraging to see how you move and operate and communicate through that medium. Um, and so it it all makes total sense that you're explaining that how the record came out of now. But the grief that you're talking about, I think this is where I want to take it as
Yeah.
like it's personal, but it's also communal. And I was just wondering if you could speak to that and maybe how it's come out in these songs.
Yeah. I think really sitting with my grief and like accepting it as a part of my experience right now has helped me feel connected to people more than ever. It's like sharing about it and going there, it just opens up a portal to connection and deep understanding of what someone else might be going through. Um, I feel like through those portals of pain, like we understand how everything is connected in a root system underneath. Um, I feel a deep well of empathy for other people, and I feel like so connected to other people, and I feel like that's only been possible through the process of sitting with my own grief and pain, and that like the more that I'm able to like really have compassion for myself, I can have compassion for other people. I feel like 2020 was a really tough time, like globally and then also nationally, and then also just within our small neighborhood communities. Like, but what I did learn is that we're not dissimilar, and that we all experience pain. No one's pain or grief is more important than another's, and like in those connections of like showing up for friends that need vocals on a song, or going out to someone's community clothing drive, like how can I show up physically with my voice and with my spirit to people that are in need, and then it comes back around, and it's like we're all on this cycle of helping each other, and it makes me feel less alone in my process, and like it empowers. I feel like the process of the last 4 years has empowered me to get to this place of making this project and like putting it forward and just like seeing who wants to receive and be a part of that.
So well said. Yeah, it's
Thank
like
you.
there's this I remember this pull in me to try to solve and fix and use all this energy
Yeah.
to go outside and feel like I had to arrange my environment and my relationships and fix things. But the more I tried to do that, the more messy it basically got and shady it would
Yeah.
get her. It would get, and once I you turn inwards and you realize, oh, like to heal what's out there, I actually got to like take care of some stuff in here first. I'm
Yeah.
not ready to actually work or um, act in a way that's halfway helpful if I'm not centered and in touch, and grounded with
Yeah.
myself and what's going on in here.
Yeah, you're totally touching on like one of the main themes of my record, and it's this lyric at the end of Full Bloom, and I say get right at home, and I repeat
Mm.
get right at home, and the name of the record is going to be Right at Home. And that really came from this place of like, how can I show up for people if I'm not feeling okay with myself? It's like, I need to get right here. I need to sit with myself here so that I can show up. And they work in tandem. It's not one or the other. And each day is a little different, but it's like finding that balance between self and community, and like going to the well of yourself, coming back, getting right at home, finding some rest there so that I can show up for other people fully and really give myself and be excited to be there, you know?
Yeah, I'm glad that you made that point, because it's like you can, in the way that I was expressing it and what I was first dealing with, like I felt like it all had to be external. You can be paralyzed either way. Like I got to fix everything, and I got to, you know,
Yeah.
we got to change everything and change the system.
Yeah.
And then alternatively, like you can go inside and you can be really, or go internal and get really hard on yourself and feel
Yeah.
like, well, I can't do anything unless I get this right. And I get this
Yeah.
figured out, and I go to therapy, and I, you know what I mean? Like go through all the things. Both of them can be really paralyzing. And so I'm glad that you brought up that balance,
Yeah.
that there is like this constant wave, this in and out, this up and down, um, to that plays off of each other in this process.
Yeah, totally. And also the acceptance of imperfection. Like, huge, right? Like that's so wrapped up in like this idea of whiteness again, of like trying to present as perfect and present
Mm.
as having it all together. And that's no one's reality. And I think social media does a really good job of making us think that people are perfect as well, when that's just not the reality. And so, yeah, I'm in this era of just like imperfections. Like, here we are. I'm doing this. What are you doing? Let's do
Yeah.
something together. You know, it's
Yeah.
not going to be perfect, but we're going to move through it with grace and with honesty and intention and depth, heart. You know, it's like that's really all we can do.
I love that. I love that. And it speaks to what you had mentioned earlier, just about how grief informs joy, which informs
Yeah.
grief. Like it's part of the, you know, the life cycle,
Circle
of
of life.
everything. Yeah, totally. Exactly. There was some truth there after all. Thought it was just
Thank
a
you, Lion
fool.
King.
Yeah. Thought it was just another fluffy Disney movie, but
There's some depth. Yeah.
yep. Oh man, so this is exciting. You're down to your last, is it 9 days? Eight or nine
We have
days here?
8 days left. Yeah.
So exciting.
I know, it's
Um,
down to the wire. I'm like, what's going
yeah,
to happen?
I know, but that's, hey, it's
This is part
fun.
of it.
Yeah, it's fun to create, um,
Yes.
some expectations, some limits, so that you can
Yes.
achieve something. Can you said before, like, you're raising this money because you're going to be paying, everyone on is that like the main, reason? Like, well, let me back up. That was a really
Sure. Sure.
horribly worded question.
No, that's
Um,
okay.
you are you're raising what I've heard is that you're raising to pay everyone. So the first question is: so did all of these people, all your family, basically these sisters, just like come to support you and say, "We're doing this with you, and we don't care about what's going to happen from it, or what the
No,
outcome
I
is"?
I paid them out of my pocket.
Okay,
So
okay,
I paid these women immediately upon them finishing the session,
that's awesome.
um, which felt really good to do. And I paid them their full fair rate. Like,
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are asking for favors in town, which is cool. It's like if you're strapped for money and you ask a friend to play for, cheap. I've done that many times in the past. I have many friends who I'm indebted to who have played for less than they deserve. But I'm really entering this place where I'm like, these women deserve to get paid their fair day rate. And so I paid them all their fair session rate. And yeah, now we're in a place where it's like, I don't have the money to mix it if I don't fund this Kickstarter. And so the Kickstarter is to pay all the women that I've paid already, mix the record, master the record, make vinyl for you guys, make shirts for you guys, and hopefully reach some people.
I love that. And I mean, what you're saying is something that in the past couple years, um, has really imprinted
Mhm.
deeply in me. This idea of value. If
Yeah.
I don't start valuing the things, the people, um, that I believe should be valued, then then I'm not, my integrity is off, because I want,
Yeah.
people to value my friends, and I want that, and I want people to value my work as well. So it's,
Yeah.
it's another one of those things, like you can put out into the world what you end up receiving.
Yes.
So yeah, so I love that. I love that you approached it that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it meant setting an ambitious fundraising goal,
Yeah.
and it meant stretching a little bit beyond maybe what it would have been comfortable to raise. Like,
Hmm.
um, but I think that's a part of growth. And like, I turned 31 this year, and I'm like, let's go big or go home. Like, let's
Yeah.
just like put out the shoes that are a little bit bigger, and like see if my foot can fill this. And like that's where growth happens. So I'm trusting of the process, and I believe in the women that made this, and that they deserve to be paid, their full rate for the beautiful work
Yeah.
that they did on this record.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Wow, this is exciting. So when are you hoping that the record is going to be released then? Do you have a release date?
I'm tentatively planning for the end of next spring. So
Cool.
if everything can come together in time and I can get it mixed by the end of the year, which with the Kickstarter campaign funded, we'll be able to do that. And then, go into mode of like just dreaming up some beautiful visual stuff for it. And hopefully out middle of next year. That's my goal.
I love that. Yeah, you've been sitting on this for a long time.
It's
Are you
been
just antsy? Like, are you so excited to get it out there?
I really am like
Oh
to
my
I
gosh!
mean, we all I have right now is a Google Drive with the board mixes from the day we did it, like the 5 days we did it. So like listening
Wow!
back is like it's magical because I can already hear where I see it going as a producer. Like I can hear sonically where I hear things sitting with the mix, but like we haven't gone there yet. So it's probably good that I'm just sort of like letting it sit, but I am very excited to dive into this mixing process and just bring it to another level. But you can hear it in the mix, even in the board mixes. It's like yearning to come out.
That's so great. That is exciting, and that's inspiring when you can, um, when you're stoked about those board mixes, but
Yeah.
you can sense like how much more potential, and where it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's got that magic sauce.
Yeah. Okay, so you're wrapping up the Kickstarter and you're done touring. So what's the rest of the year look like for you?
I've got some shows here and there, just solo stuff happening, and I'm doing a full band show at the Blue Room on October 18th in Nashville. Or actually, did I say 19th? October 19th.
Okay.
Yes. That is at the Blue Room in Nashville for the Good Good Festival. That's kind of my last full band thing of the year, and just sort of focusing on like sessions and stuff in town beyond that. Hopefully, touring next year. I would love to do some touring for both the last record and this new one. I also have been, this is another kind of secret Nashville news. I've been working on forming a super group with a few artists in Nashville. So the group is me, Parker Millsap, Gillette Johnson, and Zach Smith, and we are called Drip Castles. And we have been writing songs together in a similar fashion to the way I made this record. We meet up in the morning, we write a song, and then we record it in the afternoon, one take. And so we've been working on songs for half a year now, and we have a record made, and we're working on figuring out how we want to record that and put that out. So there's other projects under the surface that are coming to fruition too, which is really exciting. I'm excited to be in a band for the first time. I've played for so many artists, but I haven't ever started my own equal ownership band project, and so this feels really exciting.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um okay, so it's supwithjess.com, correct?
Supwithjess.com.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's a link to the Kickstarter, and you can find out.
GoDaddy goes directly to that Kickstarter link. Yes.
Amazing. And then where else can people follow you and find your music and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's just under my name, Jess Nolan, JessNolan. And then the Instagram is at I am Jess Nolan.
Beautiful. Okay, is there anything else that you feel like you want to people to know? Anything else that we didn't cover or talk about?
Oh man, I'm just like grateful if anybody has made it through this far in the podcast and listened. Like, I'm grateful to you, Nolan, for having me on here. It's just nice to have a platform to talk about what I'm working on. And I appreciate you sharing this with your followers.
Oh yeah, well I can't wait for this record to come out and
Thank
hear about
you.
it because I can tell it's going to be really special. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, well, cool. Thanks so much for the time today, Jess.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah.